Right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Council's Chambers on this beautiful Monday, June 22nd. As you can look outside, we had a little bit of constant rain over the weekend, and as I said at the conclusion of our last meeting, I said, you know what, when the members of council get together, we kind of clear the skies and bring the sunshine and the weather, and we're meeting again today, and look what happened outside. It's clear. There's no more rain, and it's drying up. So I think the more often that we meet, I think the weather pattern looks better when we meet together. So members of council, so that's just a warning for you that we'll be having a lot more emergency meetings to get together so we can get rid of the rain, if that worked that way. Administration, anything to add to the agenda?
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing further to add.
Okay, with that, Deputy Mayor, for the motion, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the Town Council adopt the June 22nd, 2026 regular council meeting agenda as presented.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. All right, Council, moving with our agenda. Number 3 is the public input session. So this is the time that we allow residents and stakeholders to address Council on anything that's not on the current agenda. Administration, has anybody registered to speak?
Through Your Worship, no one is registered.
Okay, thank you. Anybody in the gallery like to speak to Council on anything that's not on the current agenda? Okay. See none. We'll move on to number 4, which is presentations and delegations. And today we have a special presentation, so we'll be appointing the next Deputy Mayor for the next 4 months. Right, so the next Deputy Mayor that is getting sworn in is Councillor Harold Palechko. And if I can have a motion, please. Councillor Loyens.
Town Council appoint Councillor Harold Palechko as Deputy Chief Elected Official for the term of June 22nd, 2026 to October 31st, 2026, or until the appointment of the next Deputy Chief Elected Official.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions, comments, and debate on the motion? Okay. See none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay, the motion's passed, so if we can just officially swear you in, Councillor. I'll try to hold this close because I put glasses on. All right, so if you repeat after me. I, Councillor Harold Palechko,
I, Councillor Harold Palechko,
swear that I will diligently,
swear that I will diligently,
faithfully, and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
execute according to law
execute according to law
the office of Deputy Mayor
the office of Deputy Mayor
for the town of Stony Plain
for the town of Stony Plain
in the province of Alberta.
in the province of Alberta.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Right, before I go on, just thank Councillor Laurie for your work as your last 4 months as Deputy Mayor. I know there was quite a few events that you had to attend for me, so I appreciate you stepping up and taking care of those. And Councillor Palechko, I look forward for you to step in the same thing. I think there's a few meetings that I've already have a conflict in, so I'll be reaching out to you to make sure that those dates work for both of us. Okay. Thank you. Moving on. Number 7 is the Council Board and Committee minutes. So this is the Policing Committee from May 13th. 2026. Oh, there we go. Sorry, Councillor. I moved a little too fast. Right, with agenda number 5 is the statutory public hearing. We have nothing scheduled tonight, so we'll move on to number 6, which is the adoption of council minutes, and it's for the RCM of June 8th. Members of council, you had the opportunity to review them. Any errors, omissions, or questions for clarity and understanding on those minutes? See none. Councillor Niebergall.
Thank you, Worship. I move the Town Council approve the June 8th, 2026 regular council meetings minutes as presented.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Moving on to number 7, which is council boards and committee minutes. So we're now coming back to 7.1, which is the policing committee for May 13th, 2026. Members of council, you had the opportunity to review them. Any questions for clarity and understanding to the members appointed? Okay, seeing none, I do have a question to the members that sit on the police committee. I think our very first Midsummer Thursday, we had a table out there with some policing committee members out there and also with our CPOs and the RCMP kind of engaging in residents. Is there any kind of initial feedback of how that went and if that's kind of an idea that would be carrying through the whole summer? Go ahead, Councilor Laurie.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, we will be, the policing committee will be attending the downtown Thursday evenings as part of the work in developing the community safety plan. We've developed a survey through the committee that is being utilized at the Midsummer Thursdays, and that link actually will be distributed to more broadly as the resource is developed out here over the next couple of weeks. So you will see the policing committee active at those events throughout the summer as we look to collect the data to help inform the community safety plan. I'm not sure if there's any other comments that the GM would like to add, but I think they said we're looking forward to the results that we'll see from that to help build that.
Thank you, Councilor Laurie. Okay. Well, it's wonderful here, and definitely that's kind of music to my ears, and thank the members of council. We just had an election a little while ago, and a lot of things that we heard on the trail was community safety, policing stuff, so this is the time for them to engage and get their ideas and thoughts and their opinions out there, and look forward to the final report coming back to council after you guys have vetted it out and took care of it, and looking to see what the new policing plan looks like. Okay. Any more questions? Councillor Meyer for the motion, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The Town Council approved the June 8th, 2026, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. The Town Council received the Council Board and Committee minutes for information.
Any questions, comments, debate on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Okay, that is carried. Okay, moving to number 8, which is bylaws. Today's bylaw is bylaw 2738. /APP/26, and it has to deal with our Chief Administrative Officer. Go ahead, Administration.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Chief Administrative Officer is the administrative head and serves as the primary link between you, as elected council, and municipal administration. The CAO's responsibilities include, but are not limited to, ensuring that the municipality's policies and programs are implemented, advising and informing council on the operation of the municipality, performing other duties as assigned by council, and ensuring appropriate staffing is in place. Every council must establish by bylaw a position of CAO. Today's CAO bylaw was last reviewed in 2020. Administration has now completed a review of the bylaw, which included benchmarking 13 other municipalities that are like size as well as Edmonton area municipalities. Additionally, administration looked at the operation of the CAO under the current bylaw to determine if changes or efficiencies are required. Overall, the review found the bylaw continues to meet the needs of the town. There are 2 proposed changes that administration feels will increase efficiencies and provide cost savings to the town. These include adding a clause to designate the CAO as a designated officer, adding additional verbiage under the under the designated officer authorization to authorize the town manager or CAO to certify true copies of town-generated documents. These changes will provide additional clarity and eliminate the need to outsource the certification of true copies of town documents. True copies are used as proof of the original. Examples include true copies of minutes or bylaws. The third change is simply updating a reference to the new privacy legislation. And that's a good summary of what we are proposing, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you for the presentation, and definitely appreciate the red line version as well as the clean version for members of council to review. Members of council, any questions for clarity and understanding? Councillor Meyer, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, and through you to administration. I'm just curious on the proposed amendments regarding number 2, adding the CAO to certify true copies of the town-generated documents. I'm just curious if there was any specific training the CAO required to now be able to do this task.
Go ahead.
Your Worship, through to Councillor Meyer, all of Council, there is no specific training that would be required. It would be facilitated through our legislative services.
Okay, anything else? No, that's good. Thank you. Any more questions for clarity and understanding? Okay. Just going back to that, and so in terms of true certified copies. How many do we have in a year that's requested for that?
Pardon me, sorry, I have something in my throat today. Your worship, through to all of council, about half a dozen copies. Currently, we do that through, true copies are certified through like external lawyers or firms.
Okay, thank you. And then, as I think Councillor Meyer asked us, so there's no official training for this, is just to like put a stamp on there saying that these are true copies of our bylaws or something.
Yeah, your worship, through it all of council, the use of the true copies is to ensure that anything's provided, for example, like a bylaw for a CPO that needs to be sent in, is that it actually is a true version or the original version was created or signed off by the town.
Thank you. Any more questions for clarity and understanding? See you then, Councillor Lowry for first reading, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the Town Council give first reading to the Chief Administrative Officer Bylaw 2738/AP/26, a bylaw to establish and define the powers and duties of the Chief Administrative Officer.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Lowry. Members of Council, we had the presentation. We had some questions for clarity and understanding. Any questions, comments, debate on the motion for first reading? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Councillor Anderson for second reading, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that Town Council give second reading to Bylaw 2738/APP/26.
Okay. Okay, any questions, comments, debate on second reading? Right, call the question, all in favor? That is carried. And then if council does all three readings in one sitting, then a unanimous consent of members present have to be passed. So Deputy Mayor, for the motion, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The Town Council give unanimous consent to consider third reading of Bylaw 2738/APP/26.
Okay, thank you. Call the question, all in favor? Okay, that is carried. So move on to the third reading. Councillor Loynes.
Town Council give third reading to bylaw 2738/APP/26.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, and debate on the motion? Okay, on behalf of council and our community, thank you for bringing this forward and updating the Chief Administrative Officer bylaw. I think, as we've seen, there's a few changes, but not very, very substantial. But the one that we saw that we had questions on was the true certified copies. As mentioned in the background report, it's a nominal savings, so it doesn't really save us a lot. We just asked the question, and it's probably about half a dozen that actually gets done in a year, but it's also timing. So I think one of our directives from the Municipal Government Act and through the Government of Alberta is to cut red tape. And this is one of them. So instead of having, taking our copies and getting it off-site onto an external source like a lawyer or somebody that has the ability to certify it, that's a day or two in terms of the process. Having that in-house and allowing the CAO to certify a copy that we generate ourselves, so it means like council kind of approve the policy, kind of makes sense. It's saving a couple days or even, for that. So that's one part of our process of reducing red tape in our community. So thank you. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. We'll move on to business items. Number 9 is mental wellness update. And go ahead, administration, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening's update provides an overview of the mental wellness portfolio and a new initiative guided by the Mental Health and Wellness Plan at a glance. This plan serves as a guiding framework for mental health and wellness in Stony Plain, providing direction and focus by enhancing access to services, promoting collaboration, fostering meaningful connections, and strengthening community support systems, we aim to build resilience and cultivate a sense of connection and belonging, thereby enhancing residents' mental well-being. Developed in 2025, this document continues to guide the work of the portfolio and identifies 3 key focus areas. The first area of focus is increasing prevention. This includes providing opportunities and developing programs that foster connection and belonging within the community, developing programs that strengthen natural supports to build resiliency, and safe and welcoming spaces for residents. The second focus area is enhancing awareness. This includes improving access to information about services and supports, while encouraging the use of shared language to strengthen collaboration between organizations and service providers. The plan also emphasizes the importance of integrating lived experience perspectives and creating opportunities for mental health and wellness to develop naturally through community connection and participation. The third focus area is providing community supports and education. This includes promoting collaboration amongst organizations to help break down barriers, address service gaps, and streamline supports. The plan also focuses on empowering residents to identify and participate in programs that best meet their needs, while offering training and education tailored to evolving community priorities. The work underway is intended to support a coordinated and community-based approach to mental wellness across the municipality. To demonstrate this work in action, I'd like to share with you a new community training program guided by the Mental Health and Wellness Plan and Community and Social Development priorities called Awareness to Action, Building a Safer and Connected Community. Awareness to Action is a proactive, prevention-focused approach to wellness that delivers trauma-informed education and skill building. It is designed to strengthen community capacity to respond to vulnerability with compassion, understanding, and support, while integrating the voices of lived experience throughout its design. The program emerged from conversations between community and social development and local partners. These discussions identified a shared uncertainty around how best to engage with residents experiencing vulnerability in Stony Plain, as well as how to effectively connect individuals with appropriate community resources. At the same time, concerns were raised regarding instances where vulnerable individuals were not consistently treated with dignity and respect, highlighting the need for a more informed and compassionate approach. In response, this training program was developed as part of Stony Plain's Connecting Community and Increasing Belonging initiative under the Building Safer Communities Fund. The Awareness to Action program directly advances the goals of the mental wellness portfolio by strengthening prevention, enhancing awareness, and providing community supports and education in a practical way. Research shows that connection and belonging are critical protective factors. When people feel seen, valued, and included, well-being and trust grow, conflict declines, and communities become safer and more resilient. In Q4 of 2025, Community and Social Development partnered with Pay Forward Kindness and the Imagine Institute for Learning, key partners whose expertise and collaboration were instrumental to this work. To deepen understanding of the experiences and needs of Stony Plain residents, both those experiencing vulnerability and those interacting with them. Over the course of the quarter, 3 focus groups were conducted with a total of 36 participants. These included individuals with lived experience, community members, and representatives from partner organizations. Their insights played a critical role in shaping the development of the training program, with a focus on ensuring meaningful and relevant engagement with the public. In Q1 of 2026, a material review was conducted with lived experience members, and after making necessary adjustments, the program was piloted with community, engaging a total of 26 participants. A central priority in developing this training was a commitment to co-creation with individuals who have lived experience. Direct engagement ensured the program reflects real-world perspectives rather than assumptions, resulting in more relevant, responsive, and an authentic training experience. Alongside the program content, a Voices of Experience summary report was developed to capture critical feedback and highlight the perspective of residents with lived experience across the region. The Awareness to Action training is designed to build empathy, understanding, and practical skills when interacting with people experiencing vulnerability. Rooted in the human experience, the program recognizes that every person's story, experiences, and environment shape how they respond to the world around them. The training begins with exploring personal biases and building an understanding of vulnerability and marginalization. Participants are then introduced to the Adverse Childhood Experiences study and the important role that connection and community play in building resilience. From there, the program explores trauma-informed principles, emphasizing the importance of choice and control, and understanding the difference between situations that are unsafe and those that are uncomfortable. Building on this foundation, the training strengthens participants' capacity to respond with confidence and compassion through interactive scenarios and practical discussions that apply learning to real-life situations and everyday actions, helping contribute to a safer, more connected community. In addition to the program content, a key component of developing the awareness to action was creating data collection tools and methods to support a comprehensive evaluation. The evaluation framework includes facilitator observations, group discussions, surveys, and post-training follow-up interviews to monitor program effectiveness, gather participant feedback, and assess its overall impact. This training program is designed for local businesses, community organizations, and individuals who work in community spaces, but is open for anyone who wants to participate. Community and Social Development has trained team members to serve as program facilitators with the intention of offering this training a few times each year. We will begin working directly with organizations that wish to have the training delivered to their staff, with plans for more open registration dates in the future. Program information and inquiries are available on the Stony Plain website under Mental Health Training. The program officially launched in June, with the first session delivered to the Tri-Leisure Center leadership staff on June 9th. The Awareness to Action Community Training Program supports the priorities of Stony Plain's Mental Wellness Plan by fostering belonging, strengthening natural supports, supporting safe and welcoming spaces, integrating lived experience, and delivering training that responds to evolving community needs. The program also aligns with the Community and Social Development Department plan through its focus on well-being, belonging, engagement, and collaboration across the community. As Stony Plain continues to grow, the program contributes to the town's broader strategic plan and vision of a community where people feel welcomed, supported, and connected throughout life. The program reflects the strategic focus on collaboration and shared responsibility, recognizing that community well-being and safety are built together through stronger connections between residents, businesses, organizations, and safe community spaces. I'd like to take a moment to share an impactful video from the program material featuring lived experience participants to demonstrate this work.
Well, I got my life started out here at Seabit Beach and Stony area. I'm 50 years old. I'm a mother, a daughter who passed away, and I have 4 grandsons.
I was a transport driver for 30 years and developed it into construction jobs, doing paving, building roads, and then doing pipelining in the winter.
I used to clean buildings and worked, put myself through high school and raised 4 kids. I have 12 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren, and they're all healthy and beautiful. Well, I live in my car. I live in my car with my 3 cats.
In the blink of an eye, you can lose it all. Everything sort of snowballed on me all at once. I got divorced and I lost my job. Without the income, I home, and I think within a year, I was living on the streets.
Well, I get a lot of eye staring and people whisper. That doesn't bother me if they only understood what led me to being homeless. I was leaving a domestic relationship, and it was better to be on the street than to be in an abusive home.
Everything was great until there was a bit of abuse and mental abuse. I could get some assistance, but I couldn't get enough because I had to leave with nothing except for my cats.
And one of the guys that didn't like me at camp took it upon himself to bring some propane bottles, some propane into my tent. And I didn't know that, and I lit a smoke and it blew up. Not sure if I'd done all the surgeries. I had a picture and a letter from my daughter that was hers when she was little that she wrote to me. And when I was reading it, and it sounded like she was writing to me from heaven. And I'd like to have that.
riding my bike home probably at 11 o'clock at night, and got just about the town limits or up to the Yellowhead, and had someone throw an egg at me and scream, "Get a job," kind of thing. And I kind of just, I take everything, I kind of chuckled and thought, years, and I probably, income taxes and never made much, so I found peace with that.
Not looking for a hand, maybe just a hand. More not here instead of looking down and ignoring a person.
I've noticed, especially personally, that if somebody really asked how I was doing, it kind of breaks the ice in a pot. Random acts of kindness are permanently restoring to your faith in others and makes you smile. A safe community, it looks like to me, 4 walls, a warm bed, and a coffee.
Might not be much, but that's all you need. Just try and make a better life for everybody, that's all.
My name is Constance Madeline Williams.
My name's Keith Maynard.
I'm Diane Dinning.
Next steps. The Community and Social Development Department will continue engaging businesses, organizations, and the broader community to promote participation in the Awareness to Action program. Community and Social Development will also explore opportunities for co-creation and for meaningfully integrating lived experience perspectives into initiatives, planning process, and decision-making. In addition to this program, ongoing efforts will focus on enhancing the Forest of Hope initiative, refreshing the Tri-Region Roots of Hope action plan, and identifying opportunities to advocate for and share mental wellness resources with Stony Plain businesses. Thank you for your time this evening, Mayor and Council. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for the presentation and sharing that heartfelt video from people that have lived experience. I definitely appreciate that. Members of Council, any questions for clarity and understanding? Councillor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the presentation this evening. I do have a couple of questions that have come up for me. You talked about a training being offered to businesses and organizations in the broader community and so on. I think I heard 2 to a few times a year in terms of frequency. What is the length of that training program? How long would it take a participant to go through that program?
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, through to Council and Councillor Anderson. The training itself is about 3.5 to 4 hours, just depending on how many participants are in the room.
Appreciate that. Do you have a further question on this one? And we spoke or heard about external agencies in the broader community. How do we hope that this training could be utilized within the municipality itself? And do we have I think about potentially Public Works, who may be out working in different areas of our community where they may come across someone who has a tent or a shelter set up in a forested area or otherwise. Is there an opportunity to utilize this training internally for municipal staff?
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Through to Council and Councillor Anderson. Yes, absolutely. We've had some preliminary conversations with some of our internal departments, and we are hoping to host this training for internal staff in the fall towards the end of the year.
Sounds great. Any other questions for clear understanding? Yep. Okay. Councillor Meyer, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor Anderson, for asking some of those questions. I'm glad I came and I listened to your presentation, because originally I was kind of I was confused about what exactly I was being presented here. I have a better understanding about what the training program is now, but I maybe share some concerns, and I'd just like to maybe understand, because I don't think So I'm curious what like, people who experience vulnerability, yes, certainly there are, as we were presented to today, there are certain life circumstances that just come upon us. But then there are, of course, individuals who make preceding poor choices, and individuals who have to come into contact with those people do have a certain level of they have to watch out for their safety, right? So I'm curious, as we go through this training and we put people through this training, 3 to 4 hours, I'm curious what we're looking for them. Are we looking for them to treat these people just with more dignity, whilst they would deal with them still in a regular manner? Or are we looking to maybe change I heard this evening, we want to increase the level of services, and certainly I can appreciate that. I'm just curious what we're expecting as people go through this training, how their interactions with individuals will change.
Go ahead, Steph.
Thank you, Mayor, through to Councillor Eric Meyer. Yes, I think there's a couple things there. I think the first part of it is really getting a basic understanding of vulnerability and what that can look like in community and how individuals can come to experience vulnerability. A little bit about understanding where our biases come from and that we all have them and it's very normal, but it's how we choose to act on those and how we choose to educate ourselves further so that we have a better understanding and compassion when we're interacting with people experiencing vulnerability. Again, understanding that everybody comes with a story, and so just taking a minute to take that into consideration. The second part, though, is really skill building. It's talking about those trauma-informed principles. It's talking about some skills and ways that we can interact that have more positive outcomes, where we're able to come to a consensus. So whether that is staff with the Town of Stony Plain, whether that's enforcement services, whether that's just anyone in community, it's equipping them with those skills and abilities to interact and respond in a trauma-informed way.
Sorry, maybe a bit of a learning lesson. Can you, I'm not what trauma-informed, what that phrase means.
Sure, so Mayor, through to Councillor Meyer. Trauma-informed principles are a set of principles that we try to follow when we're interacting with folks, and they start with things like choice and control. They start with things like safety. We go through how to kind of ensure safety and understanding that everybody experiences safety differently. Choice and control is an example of a trauma-informed principle. Again, just ensuring that we're giving an opportunity for folks to feel that they have autonomy and they can interact and make decisions for themselves, that we're not taking that away from them. So the trauma-informed principles, there's a number of them. Those are some of the ones that we focus on specifically within this training. But it's a set of principles or guidelines that when we're interacting with others, we're doing so in a way that reduces harm. Thank you. Yeah, reduces harm and ensures that we're providing people with autonomy and choice and treating them with dignity and respect in those interactions.
Okay. So I can certainly appreciate, sorry if I can continue. I'm just trying to, what's the phrase? Understand this a bit better, because I can understand cases of an individual down on their luck and needing some just some more compassion while they go through a phase in their life. What I'm more concerned about is there are individuals who will reside there their entire life, and society has to deal with them. And many of our staff will deal with those people, and I'm concerned about their safety as well as the general public safety having to deal with them. And what I've seen in my lifetime is as we get more compassionate, we kind of tolerate more bad behavior. So I'm curious, in our training, are we changing how we deal with people, or are we changing how we show them compassion. Like, this goes back to my first question. What are we kind of looking at as the outcome? Like, our staff treat people differently or treat them nicer?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, through to Council and Councillor Eric Meyer. I think that what you're looking for is a bit of clarity. This training program by no means replaces or looks to change policies or practices that businesses, organizations, municipalities have, and that those people attending the training are still to follow whatever procedures they have within their workplace organization and determine what they feel is comfortable and safe for them. We do talk about what is safe and what is not safe. And so it does touch on that a little bit. The training program itself doesn't replace any of those regular things that they need to follow within their organization. It just equips them with some skills and abilities to have those interactions and feel a little bit more confident in them, ensuring that we're having interactions that are respectful and reciprocal.
Okay. Thank you for your clarification. That helps me understand what we're shooting for. If I could just have one more question, a different vein.
Okay, go ahead.
So I also heard in the presentation this evening, we are looking to monitor the program effectiveness. And then you quickly, you listed a few things there. I wasn't able to catch them all. I'm just curious if you could just maybe list those and even just speak to a little bit more about maybe when we would see those monitored effectiveness and what that would look like for council.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, through to Councillor Eric Meyer. Yes, so the evaluation tools that we have are facilitator observations. So it's a form that one of the facilitators, there's typically two providing the training program, will be utilizing throughout the session. There's group discussions that are included in the training program. We have surveys for each participant, and then we follow up 3 months post-training to see how they've been able to utilize the training or the skills and abilities that they learned or practiced, and determine whether or not the training program has been effective or if there's any other feedback we can obtain to improve the training program.
Perfect, thank you. That sounds quite robust.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, Councillor Meyer, and see any more hands up. So we're going back to Councillor Anderson. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate the answers to my questions earlier. This is something that I really appreciate coming forward, and there's lots of sort of moving pieces to this particular conversation, and certainly appreciate the approach that has been taken in terms of preparation of community members and businesses and organizations in terms of trying to facilitate interactions with individuals who are experiencing vulnerabilities in their specific living situations. And there's a couple of things that were shared this evening that really stand out for me, and I think the first being the phrase unsafe versus uncomfortable was used during the presentation, and certainly Councillor Meyer had some thoughts around sort of the safety side. But this is, in some ways, fortunate that this isn't an area that we spend a lot of time in terms of supporting people with, lack of shelter and so on. It's, in the broad spectrum of community needs that we see, it's on the lower end compared to a larger municipality like Edmonton or Calgary or otherwise. And when we don't have exposure or opportunity to interact with people from any demographic, I think there's a fear of the unknown. And I believe the word bubbles in our package here, I'm just looking at page 50, they're green sort of speech bubbles, are participant quotes, and there's one here that just says, "I'm not a monster, I'm a person." And that really connects for me that, we do have this fear of what we don't know. We maybe are less willing or more reluctant to engage with somebody that, we haven't had previous experience with or exposure to or opportunity to engage with. And it can leave us feeling a sense of uncomfortableness, just for lack of experience or opportunity or otherwise. And the understanding that that doesn't necessitate or necessarily imply that that's an unsafe situation. And I think there's a really important distinction there, that in this particular case, that diversity or difference doesn't imply a lack of safety. At the same time, I appreciate Councillor Meyer's questions that sometimes when we work with individuals who are experiencing addictions or otherwise, that there is the potential for risk to exist. And this idea that we can help people understand what's an unsafe versus an uncomfortable situation, I think is really important. One of the words that we see in the package, one word to describe the experience, again, this is looking at my understanding participants, was the idea of hope. And this hopefulness. And I think when we lose hope, we don't have a lot left. And so this idea that we can instill hope in people within our communities by learning to see their vulnerabilities through a different lens, I think is very, very important for us. In the presentation, we also saw a stony plain where everyone belongs. And that's something that I've come back to over my time on council, and I think it is an important reminder that that means everyone. That's not exclusive to a specific group or demographic or socioeconomic status or housed or unhoused or someone living with addiction or not or otherwise, that, you know, we do need to be a community that understands people's lived experience. And when I think about a trauma-informed lens, that's what I always come back to, is that it allows us to understand that everybody comes to a situation with a different lived experience, and that there may be or may not be trauma in there, but that we need to take the time to understand individuals as individuals, not as circumstances, or their sort of lived reality in that moment. That there is, we heard in the video, you know, a mother, a father, a daughter, a son, a cousin, you know, and so on, that, you know, there's a human that exists there. And so this idea that we can provide opportunities to community members, businesses, organizations to recognize lived experience and start to see people in our community who are living with vulnerabilities through a lens of empathy, I think is very, very powerful. And so certainly, you know, not even a question in any of that, but I do think it's an important training program. I love to hear that we're engaging community in it. I love to hear that we've engaged individuals with lived experience that can speak into the training as to what they need from their community, as opposed to others who are trying to make decisions on their behalf. And we heard that that was part of the trauma-informed lens principles, right? Ensuring that they're empowered to make decisions that affect their own situations. And so I look forward to future opportunity. If there's an opportunity for me as a councillor to participate in the training, I would love to have an opportunity to participate in that. I don't know, I'll look to our CAO as, you know, maybe to arrange something, or just to let us know when it's happening with staff, so that I could be a part of that. But I appreciate this coming forward. I appreciate the approach that's been taken, and I look forward to seeing the fruits of this work in the future. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Councillor Niebuckle.
Thank you, Worship. I'm just going to jump in here. I had the fortunate opportunity to cover for Councillor Loynes and attend a meeting where this was first presented, and so I will just share my thoughts that I did share amongst the team there that day, but just to kind of publicly share here that what I appreciate about this is, yes, while it is targeted towards, you know, people, vulnerable people, what I like about this video is you wouldn't necessarily know that by looking at them. So it's really starting to challenge stereotypes and how I view this, and it actually makes me very hopeful, because in my opinion, since we all went online for a few years and stopped interacting with people, we have lost our ability to interact with kindness and compassion. And so what I like about this training is that actually brings that back, that you don't know the struggles that people are dealing with. We don't know the struggles that the people here in this room today are dealing with. But if you approach people through a trauma-informed lens of where you're just, help me to understand, come with kindness, interacting with people with that as your lens and that as your forefront, can only serve us well. And so I appreciate that this is going out into our community. While yes, it is targeted with a certain sort of spin onto it, I just love that it is going to encourage people and start to have conversations around how do we interact with people, how do we greet people, how do we support people, what assumptions do we have about people, and yeah, I'm just super excited for what that brings to our community. So, and additionally, I've seen the module workbooks, great stuff in there. It was very well done. And so appreciate the work that's gone in there, and I look forward to that rolling out more thoroughly throughout the community.
Thank you for your comments, Councilor Niebuhr. Any other questions for clear understanding and comments? Okay. Seeing none, thank you for bringing this forward. Definitely, it was very informative and eye-opening. I think we heard around the table here from many members of council is like, we know what we know, and that's through our own experiences and what we live. So without having the ability to come out of our shells and have someone to inform us of the different experiences that they've had, we come through our interactions and conversations through our own rose-colored lenses. And having this training allows us to take a step back and realizing that there's more than one faucet at having this conversation. And it makes us, again, as mentioned by members of council, to be kinder and softer. And we know that in instances within Canada and Alberta, quite a few people are a paycheck away from homelessness, unsheltered. Right? So everything that we can do to understand, to recognize some of those kind of signals and stuff, and how we can address that without being rude. I think it's to be kind. And many times throughout the years that I've been sitting around this table, a kind word or a gesture goes a long way to somebody's mental health. We don't know what the other person is going through. So when I meet with residents that have issues and stuff, I'm always kind, because I don't know what they're going through to get them to this stage. Right? And so that's great to have an opportunity like this for our staff and maybe members of council to also take it. There's also a lot of good programs in here, and I think one of the biggest things I see out of here is connecting people that are involved. So maybe my question to administration is, through over the last couple of years of the engagement and connecting with the community, do we as Stony Plain are more prepared through our staff and through our residents that have attended, that we're able to direct those residents that need help to the right places?
Thank you, Mayor, through to council. We've done extensive engagement over the last few years, and I would say that we have a strong understanding of what residents are looking for within their programs and services. Specifically, improving access to information on what is actually available for supports and services in the region has been a big one. In addition, really providing kind of those natural supports and programs that can be done in community neighborhoods that can have kind of a general wellness feel to them, rather than specifically targeting things such as quote-unquote suicide prevention or anxiety. They're looking for, from our understanding, they're looking from somewhere where those natural supports. Again, community neighborhoods, community events, programs. They've also been very interested in being a part of creating programs and services that best meet their needs. And so utilizing that engagement continuously to ensure that they're empowered to identify what it is that they're looking for within mental health and wellness in Stony Plain. And again, integrating that lived experience into all of the elements of the mental wellness portfolio.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Last round, any questions for clear understanding? Last comments? Okay. See none, thank you. We'll go to Councillor Niebergall for the motion, please.
Thank you, Worship. I move the town council accept the mental wellness update for information.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions, comments, and debate on the motion? No. Definitely on behalf of council and the residents, thank you for the work that CSD has done on this file, and definitely making sure that we're more than just a community of bricks and mortar. We're a community that does care and feel for residents. I think that's one of the biggest differences through Stony Plain is that we're trying to build a place that is inclusive and welcoming for everyone, and this is a perfect example of that. Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. All right, members of council, moving on with our agenda. We're looking at 9.2. And 9.2 is the debit management policy. And the staff is switching over, so we'll take, do we need a couple minutes? No? Okay. So whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and start your presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Administration has completed a cyclical review of the debt management policy. Updates are put forth tonight for your approval. The MGA specifies regulations regarding debt. However, council policies also enhance those regulations with internal guidelines. Through the review of the policy, administration changes included cleanup and clarification. The definition section of the policy was updated specifically to include additional clarity for application. The town currently defines an internal debt limit of 80% of the provincially regulated debt limit and 80% of the provincially regulated debt servicing limit. Internal debt limits are common in the prior urban EMRB members, excluding Edmonton, so our comparators. 5 out of the 8 have a debt limit. The town's limit is in the middle of the comparators. The internal limit on debt servicing was also reviewed. 3 out of the 7 comparators have included this within their policy. Based on current debt servicing lengths, the town's servicing limits are not at risk of approaching limits currently sitting at 58% available to the MGA limit of 48 to the MGA limit and 48% available to the internal limit. Administration does not recommend any changes to the internal limits at this time. Identifying and targeting spend to an internal debt limit continues to be financially responsible. Added justification for the limit was added by defining an internal limit in policy. It accounts for consolidated revenue from other sources such as the Tri-Leisure Center and Library that do not service debt on our financial statements. Debt categories have also been expanded to include developer levy-supported debt and debt on behalf of other organizations. As the town's offsite levy projects progress ahead of development, the levy fund requires debenture to service these projects. As land is developed, levy becomes payable and is utilized to service the debenture. The total developer levy-supported debt is $3.8 million, with future bylaws planned up to the end of 2026. As approved in the corporate plan. Debt has been required due to limited offsite levy balances. In 2024, Council approved support through sourcing debenture for Meridian Housing Senior Housing Project. The debt in the amount of $1.2 million is serviced by annual Meridian Housing requisition through tax notices. A section has been added to the policy to outline policy guidelines regarding debt on behalf of other organizations. Through review of the policy, it has been confirmed the mechanisms to report and approve debentures within the town are sufficient. Council is originally is presented and approves debt projections through the corporate planning process. Subsequent to the corporate planning approval, Council is providing individual boring bylaws for approval. In addition, quarterly and annual reports provide data on actual debt and debt limits. With the proposed changes, the policy will continue to maintain a high level of standards for debt to ensure fiscal sustainability. On June 8th, Council requested some information back on measures to debt limits. Remaining debenture bylaws, as approved in the 2026 corporate plan, total $4.6 million funded, $4.8 million developer funded to be brought forward. This will bring the debt limit to $13.7 million or 15.34% of the MGA limit, and over the internal debt limit by $4 million or 5%. If external funded debt was excluded, that would include developer totaling 8.6 and Meridian 1.2, so just about $10 million. The town's debt limit would be 26% to the Municipal Government Act and 8% to the internal at the end of 2026. Servicing limits would still be well within at 63% of the MGA and 54% to internal. I'll now take any questions that you may have.
Thank you for the presentation and the update and the request from council for a little bit of clarity and understanding of where we are in terms of our policy. Members of council, questions and comments for clear and understanding? Councilor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the presentation this evening and some of the follow-up from our last meeting together. Just looking for some clarity on the slide just before the questions one here. Just if I heard correctly, if we could jump back, thank you. In the middle here, internal debt, we see will be over by about 4 million, but our debt servicing actually appears to be quite low. Is this just by nature of favorable terms and the debt that we've taken out, or what may account for being over that internal limit, but still seeing a manageable debt servicing level?
Go ahead.
Thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Anderson and all of council. Debt servicing and internal debt limit are two separate mechanisms that are both a check and balance. And so the debt servicing is more along the lines of what the term that you're taking the loans over. And so due to the decisions that have been made on our debt and our debt policy, matching similarly the length of useful life of the asset that we're borrowing for, we have not approached that. Where you may approach a higher debt servicing limit and not a high debt limit would be if you're taking terms, very, very short term, so like a 1-year loan or 5-year loan, then you may approach that debt servicing limit. So this is just another mechanism that the Municipal Government Act has as another check and balance to ensure that not only are we borrowing within our limits, but we also can actually pay for it within the time that we're borrowing it over.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do have a secondary question here, and that relates a little bit actually to the rain that we've seen over the last little bit. But anytime we see we're getting close to debt limits, whether it's MGA or internal limits and so on, my mind immediately goes to how will we be able to manage an emergent situation. So lots of rain over the last little while. I know we've been taking strides over the last number of years to improve our sort of groundwater flow and our ability to manage stormwater runoff and so on. But, you know, it's these types of storms that bring to light sometimes infrastructure needs that may not have been accounted for. And so when we see some of these projected numbers going into 2026 being over our internal limit, not quite the MGA limit, how is the town positioned to manage emergent issues over the next few years? Because this isn't just a 2026 reality. Obviously, this carries into the future, and we just want to be sure that we're able to manage those storms when they come, if you will. So how are we set up to manage emergent issues in the future?
That's good. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Anderson and all of council. So first of all, through the corporate plan, there's limited debt projected for the next 3 years. And so that should help our debt limit increase. There is two mechanisms. One is we're paying down debt. The second is we're increasing revenue. So we're bringing on a new facility that will have revenue. We have another facility opening or is open now, the cemetery. All of those revenues go towards increasing our debt limit. However, inclement events could occur, and so our other mechanisms are reserves. So our reserves that we maintain could be reallocated. We also could defer projects that may have a lower oh, sorry. That, I just got the, the cane, yeah, sorry about that. We also may reprioritize projects that were approved in the corporate plan that do have committed funds that may not be a priority if there's an inclement event anymore. We also have grant opportunities, and as a last resort, we also could go to the province to ask for a debt limit extension in that basis.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to sit on that one for a second and appreciate certainly the information. Lots to unpack there. I sort of rolling through my head this idea of deferring projects, certainly the projects that we've undertaken or have been approved by the corporate plan for council or important projects, whether they're some of the infrastructure that we're talking about that, we want to make sure is well maintained and allows us to move our community forward. And so it's a lot for me to unpack, so I'm just going to stop there. And if there's another question, I'll jump back in a minute.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions for clear understanding? Okay, seeing none. Just a question before I go back to Councillor Anderson. I noticed when we did the review, there was a few municipalities that did not have internal debt limit. Was there any commentary from those municipalities of why they did not have one?
Thank you, through your worship, to you and all of council. The data was accumulated by pulling debt policies off of their websites. There was no direct contact with them.
Thank you. All right, Councillor Anderson, have you had a chance to mull over those things, or should I?
I'm going to be honest, I was really hoping somebody else had some questions. So I'm just going to ask. I wasn't able to formulate it, so please forgive me for this. And I think it's alluded to here in the bottom chart, but this idea of external funded debt, I appreciate that some of the debt that's on our books isn't necessarily managed by the town, that we sort of hold it, but it's supported through whether it's utility rates or Meridian Housing or otherwise. Because I didn't sort of formulate my question, I'm going to ask it broadly. Would you just give us a brief overview of how that externally managed debt works? A few indications of what might be included in that and how it impacts the overall financial picture of the town, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, through your worship, to Councillor Anderson and all of council. So the external debt that you can see on the screen, totaling $9.8 million, is made up of developer funded, which is all offsite levy front ending, and 8.6 million is the developer portion, and 1.2 million is the Meridian Housing Foundation. So how that impacts our debt limit, it does go against our debt limit. However, it is marked, so the town is responsible should those bodies default on their debentures, we would have to cover that cash. It could still be recoverable through other means in ensuring that we're getting the funds that are owed to us. However, so it does get taken into consideration against our debt limit. However, we have had conversations with the province, and if there were some debt extension required, they would take into consideration those external debts that are currently on our financial statements, and those would be a solid case to receive a debt extension to be able to service debt into the future.
Okay, thank you for that and appreciate the clarity there. I believe we also have some debentures that can be funded through things like utility rates. So sort of trying to cost recovery the cost of those debentures through utilities and so on. Maybe just a brief overview of that process if you could, and what amount of our current debt is funded not through the tax sort of assessment or mill rate process, but being funded through local utility rates.
Head Administration.
Thank you. Through your worship to council, I'm just pulling up some data here. So the utilities also do work the same way. They are funded specifically through the utility rate models, through the utility rates. And currently, current, the total utility debt is $17 million of our total debt.
That's funded through utility rates as opposed to sort of our standard tax base that we would talk about. Is that correct?
Through your worship, that is correct.
Perfect. Understanding it's the same people, we appreciate that, but just trying to wrap my head around it. So I guess where all that leads for me is, you know, certainly I know there's questions in the community when we near debt limits and so on, and what is our ability to manage that debt, and how does it impact you know, the annual property tax and so on. And what those questions really flush out for me is that, you know, as much as we're nearing our internal limit and have the potential to exceed that internal limit within 2026 with approved projects, not all of that debt falls back on sort of the property tax base that, you know, whether it's developer levies or just, you know, what's counting against us in that sense for Meridian Housing, or things that are going to fund utilities that, you know, we're not in dire straits. I would say that we, you know, sounds like in a good fiscal position. We heard that from our auditor. We're in a position where through a number of different mechanisms, we'd be able to weather, manage successfully emergent issues moving forward, which I think gives me and hopefully our community confidence, even when we're having conversations around topics that can be quite sensitive around debt limits and so on. So I appreciate the clarity this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for clear understanding? Okay. See none. Councilor Anderson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that Town Council approve Debt Management Policy C-FS-071 and repeal Debt Management Policy C-FS-045.
Okay. Thank you. Members of Council, you had the opportunity to review the updated requested approval and the old one. Any questions, comments, and debate on the motion? Again, thank you very much for administration for bringing this forward and for updating it. Definitely, I like the fact that the recommendation is to continue with the internal debt limit. I think I was part of the council when we started talking about this. And this is, for me, it's like more security for our residents. I mentioned that earlier. It's like up to 80% is green light. You know, our staff try to play within that 80%, and anything that comes over that 80%, which is more like a yellow light for me, which means that it has to show a really, really strong business case and how it's going to benefit the community as an overall instead of just different areas. And then as soon as we hit that maximum GOA limit, it's definitely a red light. At that point in time, there's a lot of things have gone wrong for us to get there. And I'm glad we're one of the municipalities, as mentioned by our auditor every year when it comes into that, Stony Plain is in a good financial position. And that's because we have good people on our staff and also good people on council that have took that into heart and making sure that we're consistent with what we want to do as a community and making sure that we don't, pardon the pun, break the bank when we're building our community. And we've done a good job of making that balance. So thank you, administration. Okay, with that, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to number 8.3 of our business items. So this is the signing authority for municipal documents policies. And this is here as we did make the change to the CO bylaw. So this is kind of dotting our I's and crossing our T's. Go ahead, administration.
Thank you. Through your worship to all of council. The signing authority of municipal documents policy is being brought forward as part of the town's regular policy review framework and was last reviewed in 2020. This policy provides authorization for the signing of municipal documents, including minutes, bylaws, checks, and agreements, and the content continues to meet the needs of the town. Administration is recommending some minor amendments to remain consistent with other town policies, to update current practices, to provide enhanced clarity, and to reflect the change to the CAO bylaw that was approved earlier this evening regarding the certifying of municipal documents. We are requesting that the new policy be approved this evening. Thank you, and we're available for questions.
Okay, thank you. Again, members of council, any questions, comments, and for clarity and understanding? Nope, don't see any either. So thank you for bringing this forward. Definitely, it's one of those, I think it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we reviewed this last time, so it was good to continue to review them, make them a little more relevant in the time that we do adopt them. So I don't have any questions for that. Moving to Councillor Meyer for the motion, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The Town Council approved the signing authority of municipal documents policy C-LS-070 as presented.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Meyer. Any questions, comments, and debate on the motion? See none, call the question, all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to number 8.4. And this is the public advertising bylaw. Go ahead, administration.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. The manager's just getting set up for his presentation, and just before he can get everything going, I'll just provide some overview content of what we're looking to have a dialogue with council this evening. So the public advertising bylaw is a reasonably new bylaw that was brought into chambers in 2023, and the manager's presentation will outline some of the history. For tonight, the bylaw did have a short review period when it was initially brought in. I believe it was a year or two. We've completed a review of the bylaw and don't have any major changes or changes at all that we're providing to council. So what the manager's presentation will provide tonight is an opportunity for council and administration to have a dialogue on the bylaw and determine a direction that we would like to go with that as per the recommendations in the RFD. With that said, I'll now pass this off to the manager of planning and development.
Okay, welcome to council and chambers. Go ahead and start when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Worship. To all of council, this is the presentation for bylaw 2681G23. This is the public advertisement bylaw presentation. So ultimately, this bylaw was adopted back in 2023 in accordance with section 606 of the Municipal Government Act. It established the method for advertisement for planning bylaws, resolutions, public hearings, and other matters prescribed under section 606 of the MGA. Ultimately, it provides direction to administration. It provides transparent and consistent means to provide notification to the public. In terms of our bylaw, compared to the standard requirements of the MGA, which requires either notification for 2 weeks in the newspaper or a mail out to all affected areas, our current advertisement bylaw specifies 2 different forms of advertisement. One for non-local. This is ones that affect no specific locality. They may affect all of the town or may not have a location-specific aspect of that bylaw. In this case, advertisement would take place on the town website as well as 1 week within the town newspaper. In terms of those that have a local or specific area that they affect, there are 2 types, the advanced and the standard. The advanced is used for areas that don't already have a statutory plan, such as an area structure plan or area redevelopment in place, or one where those would need to be changed or altered in some form. For the advanced, a notice sign would have to be placed on the lot or the area that's being changed. It would be placed on the website, and there would be a mail out to all residences within and surrounding that area within 90 meters. Again, that is something that administration would generally extend out to, say, the blocks or any sort of natural barrier that would be relatable to that. In terms of the standard, this is an area where there is an area structure plan already in effect, or an area redevelopment plan, and that ultimately the bylaw would be in conformance to that neighborhood plan. In which case, there would still be a notice sign, and the website would still be updated with such notice. In terms of how the notice has to take place, it needs to be done at least 10 days prior to the bylaw or the public hearing. And in the interaction between the public advertisement bylaw and the land use bylaw, excuse me, the land use bylaw requires that such notice be posted 21 days. The difference between the 10 and the 21 provides administration the ability to verify that it has been posted in time and allows us to contact the bylaw or the applicant to ensure that they do post it so that we can have the public hearing within the requirements that we have in that bylaw. So in terms of what other municipalities are doing, we've got a table here that shows a variety of other generally municipalities in the greater Metro Edmonton area. Most do have policies or bylaws in effect for public advertisement. Several don't, but the majority do. And in terms of the way that advertisement is done, most actually do less, I would say, than the towns currently do. The website is fairly consistent with most. Some continue to do newspaper, some do social media, or even electronic signboards. In terms of any that have a distance, they do 60 meters in the city of Edmonton as an example. So again, overall, ours currently, administration is not necessarily recommending any amendments at this time, given ours is fairly conservative, or I guess liberal, depending on how you look at it, in terms that we cover an extensive amount of those that other bylaws that have an effect. It is something that is a little more uniquely Stony Plain in the sense that it is not just the 2 weeks or the mass mail out that's required under the MGA, but is a little more catered to our community. And ultimately, we are bringing this bylaw forward to facilitate a discussion for council to discuss and reflect upon these items. Ultimately, we are asking council whether the current advertisement methods, including the website posting, newspaper advertisements, and location-specific signage remain appropriate, and identify if there's any concerns regarding the bylaw's application, including the sufficiency of notification timelines, the scope of the location-specific advertisement, or whether additional methods should be explored. So in terms of the next steps, council received this bylaw review update for information, and we're recommending to update the bylaw renewal date to 2031, which would align with our standard practice for timelines for bylaw renewals. And again, council may direct administration to bring forward the bylaw or any proposed amendments at their consideration. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. Members of council, questions for clarity and understanding? Comments? Go ahead, Councilor Loyens.
Thank you, Your Worship. Only comment about concern that I can think of off the top of my head was we had two very specific notices that had gone out, one over in the Brickyard and one over in Greybrier. And when it came to the public hearing time, something is in the air. When it came to the public hearing time, the main concern was the way that the signage was on the location-specific area it wasn't necessarily in public's regular vision or view. So my question through you to administration is, are we looking at how we place those signs directly? Going back to the Brickyard, I believe it was because it was at a dead-end sidewalk, and they'd have to go around in order to see what it was specifically. And the one in Greybrier, I'm thinking it was up on the hill at the end of Greybrier Drive.
Okay, go ahead, administration.
Through your worship to all of council, and specifically Councillor Loyens, we do work with developers, and I'll say the topography of the area surrounding each application. It is not always an obvious place for bylaw signage. One of the reasons we like to use the website and some of the other methods there is it does provide a little more comprehensive. There are challenges In particular, it needs to be posted on the site. So again, sometimes the site is not that accessible, but again, it does provide an alternative means to the website posting and the website ultimately, so.
Okay, any more questions for clear understanding, comment? Councillor Meyer, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to administration. I'm just curious, with the advanced notice, specifically the mail-outs, do those have a time frame attached to them as well?
Okay, go ahead.
Through Your Worship to Councillor Myers and all of Council. Ultimately, all of our notices have similar information. In terms of the timelines, we typically require to have the information back so we can include it in the council agenda, if it is, say, written. In terms of if it's just someone who wants to come and speak, they're able to register, I believe, the day of or enter the day of. Perhaps a clarification?
Yeah, sorry, I don't think I was very clear. When we mail out the mail-outs, do we have a specific time frame for how much advance notice those are?
Through Your Worship to all of Councillor and specifically Councillor Meyer, yes, it would be that 10 days or 21 days. So typically we will try to get it out quite soon after the first reading. There's typically only 4 weeks between first reading and public hearing, sometimes a little more, but ultimately we would get that notice out usually before the 21 days. But again, we just need to make sure it's before the 10.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lowry, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to administration. Found that the effectiveness of the signs has been relatively decent since the implementation of it. It's generated community conversation, so on and so forth. But we have noticed that in the past on some of these sites, the signs have continued to remain after the item has actually surpass those days and come back to council and has had a decision made, which has led to a lack of clarity onto whether that is or isn't still an active consideration. It's led to opportunities for things like vandalism, so on and so forth. Nowhere in the bylaw do I see anything that states when the signs are required to be removed by the property owner. Do we have anything else in a different town bylaw or a different regulation that would require the removal of the sign within such a period of time?
Okay, go ahead.
Through Your Worship to Councillor Lowry and all of Council, I'm just checking now to see if I can find it. My recollection is the land use bylaw does indicate that it does need to be removed in a certain amount of time, similar to, say, election signs. Ultimately, this is something that the town has recently done a little bit of a campaign to remove most of the signs. I believe there's one left that was a little troublesome in terms of getting the landowner to remove, but for the most part, most of the signs that have been done in the last several years have been taken down earlier this year.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I think what I would be looking for would be a prevention of requiring our town staff to spend the amount of time to canvass all of the areas in which these signs had been erected to ensure that they have been taken down and make sure that we have something either in this bylaw or in another bylaw that requires a compliance on that would give us an enforceable action.
Thank you. Good comment. Administration, anything else to add to that? I think, can we find that a phrase in the land use bylaw?
Through Your Worship, I'll need a couple of minutes to find it. Thank you.
Okay, we might come back to that. Moving on to Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just looking at the jurisdictional analysis here, one of the things that a number of different communities utilize is social media, something that we use at length for communication with residents, but I don't see it specific to the bylaw here. And so through you, Mr. Mayor, to administration, just if you could touch on the lack, I guess, of social media being indicated in this particular bylaw, and if that was considered in bringing this forward this evening.
Okay, go ahead, administration.
Through Your Worship to Councillor Anderson and all of Council, Specifically, social media is not something that we have done in the past, or I would say considered at length. Generally, it's a relatively new form, this being from 2023, 3 years old. It is something that I guess could be considered in the future, but at this point in time, the town website is usually the means for that. I believe everyone can register to get notifications for these, so if someone does want the kind of, I'm not going to say it's exactly social media, but it does provide the means to have a direct email sent to you as notice for any public hearings if they so register for that notice on the website. So it does sort of form that if you sign up for it, as opposed to just something general that social media might post.
Okay, I do certainly appreciate that, but I do also would suggest that we do utilize social media as a main form of communication with residents along with the website, and can't help but wonder if there's a bit of a missed opportunity here. I believe when this came forward in 2023, there was a larger mail-out component, if I'm not mistaken, for additional advertisements, not strictly sort of the advanced under the statutory advisement or advertisements. There were other ones that had a mail out. And if I recall correctly, I think we also reduced the distance of the mail out as well. And so, you know, any time that we can take a reasonable step with a method that we already have in place that the public has come to know and expect from us, I think it would be prudent for us to do that. But certainly interested to hear from my colleagues on council how they feel about the social media side in this regard. The second piece I wanted to touch on, and this relates to Councillor Loyne's indication of some of the signage, and you know, we've heard specific to the Brickyard that it did raise some emotion within the community, we'll say, and that led to some questions and some greater dialogue within the Brickyard neighborhood that brought a number of residents to council chambers, but which is a positive. But we also have heard that the signs aren't always visible, to Councillor Loyne's point, and you know, not always ideally placed. Just this week, I've seen 3 street sweeping signs within my own neighborhood there in Silverstone, even Jutland next door there. Each entrance had a sign about street sweeping and so on. When I looked at Fairways North, and I believe I brought this up in a previous council meeting, but you know, we had one sign at the end of, I believe, Greybrier Drive that not a lot of people drive by, and looked at potentially other opportunities for a secondary sign that would increase the visibility and the number of people that would see that and potentially be able to inquire or dig into or ask questions about and so on. And so certainly was a part of the shift into this specific policy, but haven't heard from our community with resounding success that they feel like it's enough. And again, I'm interested to hear from my colleagues on council, but on a personal level feel like, you know, we need to consider the methods and the reach to ensure that residents are adequately informed of development going on in their neighborhood. So look forward to comments from my colleagues this evening.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. Any other questions for clear understanding from members of council? Oh, I'm going back to administration in terms of a time frame to remove the advertising signs.
Thank you for giving me some time there, Your Worship, and all of council. So section 5.4.10 under planning bylaw notification or notice signs, number 1 reads, must be erected for a minimum of 21 days before the public hearing date and removed within a maximum of 7 days following the public hearing date. So the legislation or bylaw regulations are clear that it is to be removed. Ultimately, in terms of how we enforce that and work with landowners to ensure, or applicants to ensure that it is removed, there are some additional provisions in our land use bylaw for the removal of signs that give town staff fair good so I guess I'll just pause there for enforcement relating to signs. So again, When a sign that is subject to this bylaw is no longer fulfilling its function under the terms of a development permit or the bylaw regulations, the Development Authority may issue an order for the removal of the sign to the sign owner or landowner, which may include removal of the sign and all related structural components, restoration of the immediate area around the sign to the satisfaction of the Development Authority, and payment of all costs related to that. So there are some regulations directly in the bylaw for enforcement matters, and it is as per the regulations to be removed within 7 days. So it is something that just with any enforcement, administration generally works on a case-by-case basis to make sure it is enforced as possible.
Councilor, anything else to add?
No, appreciate that. Glad to see that we do have a regulation on it and something that would be enforceable should we need to resort to that.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay. Any more questions for clarity and understanding? Okay, see none. Councilor Laurie for the motion, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that Town Council approve the public advertisement bylaw update for information. Sorry, accept, not approve.
Accept. Okay, thank you very much. Members of Council, we had the presentation, we read the updates. Any questions, comments, and debate on the motion? See none, call the question. All in favor? Oh, you have a debate? Sorry. Okay. Right, moving on to number 10 of our agenda. So this is council discussion. This is the opportunity for members of council to bring things up. We've heard from our committees and boards, and then different things we've heard from our residents and stakeholders that we can share with members of council and to our administration. Deputy Mayor Plechko, this is your first evening as Deputy Mayor. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things. I just want to chat a little bit about summer sessions. It was a great evening that started off our season. Had a great conversation with the guy that puts it on, the promoter, and I think we're looking forward to some really good stuff. It was very nice to see when I went down there, the number of people sitting there with umbrellas still coming out in the rain to hear this opening act. So kudos to the promoter and kudos to our staff for putting on a great event. And then I'd like to mention Midsummer Thursdays. That was a fantastic opportunity, again, to see a lot of people in our community. But it's not just about the people of our community, it's about the people that come from the region to support both our music and our ideas about downtown. It was great to see, and our staff, kudos to the staff for setting up everything that they do to make us look great. Our booth that council attends looked really good. We had a lot of people stopping in. And an interesting conversation come out of it. I'm still waiting for an email that I suspect will come, but just a little bit of conversation regarding our ball boats within our community. It was an interesting one that she said she would send an email out on. So it revolved a bit around some of the schools and the safety of her concern of how the ball boats made it unsafe for people to pass one another. So once I see that email, I'll bring that forward more to administration so that we can have a little bit deeper dive into it. So I just wanted to acknowledge that it was one of the main conversations that I had with one of the people down there. Councillor Meyer was also with me at the same time. So if he gets it, then he can bring it forward. And if I get it, well, I'll bring it forward. So other than that, kudos to each one of our staff that helped put everything on. And it was nice to see some of the council members out that got a bit of time to spend with the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor Laurie.
Nothing this evening, Your Worship.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I'd just like to echo Councillor Plechko's comments there. Summer sessions and the Midsummer Thursdays. I too enjoyed the conversations down there at the Midsummer Thursdays, and some great discussions to be had. I got a place where we got to plant some trees coming up, but I will pass those along to administration in an email. I'd also just like to highlight the Chamber on Tap event I was able to attend at the Garden venue at Goodland Farms. That would be the tents just south of town as you come into town. I'm sure everyone's driven past it plenty of times. It was my first opportunity to actually take in something there. Cold and wet, but that's just the weather lately. It was a good time. I did have an opportunity to meet the new acting director, Charlene Bell, and the chair-elect, Bruce Millett. So good opportunities and good discussions there as well. And just thank council for the opportunity to represent us there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilor Meyer. Councilor Anderson?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Councilor Niebergall?
Thank you, Worship. I just want to echo a ditto to fellow council members there for some events that we participated in. I was able to take in, with my daughter and my mother, we went to Fort Saskatchewan to take in Carrar's Narnia performance. My goodness, the work that goes into that, I cannot even begin to imagine. It was a 4-hour performance, so it was lengthy. It was extremely well done. Yeah, I already look forward to Zootopia that was announced as coming up next. Just a couple things on my radar from residents. So maybe through you to administration, I do have 2 questions to ask tonight. First one being, can you help residents to understand the deployment of about groups of 5 gardeners, I guess I'll say.
Okay, thank you. So our summer staff, go ahead.
Through your worship to Councillor Niebergall and all of council, thank you for the question. Those are our horticulture teams and our parks teams. Generally, those are we have a number of really good full-time staff that are supplanted by some seasonals that are added to their teams over the last couple of years. So to talk about their general operational makeup, they do function best in teams of 5. There's a couple of reasons for that. With the horde teams, they focus on priority areas with shrub beds, so that allows them to be efficient and deliberate with their time through the priority locations, which are identified in different areas around town. One is by Chicago, one is in Chicago Park here. There's a couple other locations that they focus in on weekly. In addition, there's a number of what we'll call yearly shrub beds that they will prioritize in a cycle. So this allows them to, because we're coming back to those locations, not every year or not every month, there can be some additional work there that requires a larger team. So they will be put in through and then allows them to make best use of the resources. On occasion, and I feel these questions from some residents about there's some very active workers and maybe some others. There is a great deal of movements within those teams for leaning, bending down, workplace that they're instructed to take breaks and work off each other. So this allows the work to keep going while they are adhering to their OH&S and ergonomics requirements because of the amount of bending down and lifting that they have to do through the day. The supervisors do ensure that there is a full day's work out of each member of the crew. And I don't believe that's what the intent of the question is, but there's certainly some good validity in asking why we put the operators where we do. One question I do get asked on occasion is why we don't just send one operator to 5 sites and just let them power through. And again, it is because of some of the shrub beds and locations do have intricacies that necessitate these 5 people or so being on the teams. And it allows, again, for a better quality product at the location rather than just a job done and they move on. Because they all work off each other and make sure that they're doing the best job they can.
Go ahead, and you have another one?
I do have one more. I very much appreciate that response. Thank you. My last one is, where am I? Sorry. What are the requirements / bylaw for residents having to maintain adjacent boulevards to their homes?
Okay, go ahead.
Your Worship, through to Councillor Niebergall, that's in our community standards bylaw. That would be section 3.2.0. as most communities, if you have a boulevard in front of your property, which is not dissimilar to your sidewalk in front of your property, you are required to maintain that strip of grass to the level of which is described in that particular bylaw. So we don't expect you to cut that grass every day. Sort of, it's like once a week or once every 2 weeks sort of thing. There's a 10 centimeter, I think, is a grass height. But generally speaking, if there's a boulevard in front of your home, the expectation is through the bylaw that you maintain that through the seasonal months.
Just a follow-up. So if our people who, maybe I don't even know if this can be answered by us, are folks that purchase homes that have that requirement, like do realtors have to tell them that that is a thing? Should people know that that's a thing? Or how is that communicated to residents?
Your Worship, through to Councillor Niebergall, I'm not sure if all realtors are well-versed on our bylaw, but certainly our enforcement services group will go by and put a door hanger, knock on the door, and just make people aware. We're not going to go number the first time and knock on the door with a violation. We'd definitely do that education piece first.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Niebergall. Moving on to Councillor Loyens.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to administration, a resident reached out to me in regards to the Willow Park playground being blocked off a couple days ago with no signage, and they were curious as to what was going on.
Okay, thank you. Administration, anything to update on that?
Through your worship to Councillor Loyens, all of council, I may have to follow up with you on that. I do understand that the teams were doing inspections and some isolated repairs on different locations. I don't know if this was one of them, so that would be something I'd like to go confirm with the staff and make sure that I've got all the details.
Okay. And another concern from a resident is why is there only 6 lounge chairs at the outdoor pool? It is not enough seating access for people to be there with their children.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Worship, through to Councillor Loyens, I don't know if there's a magic number of 6 or not, but we can certainly check with staff and get back to you.
Awesome, appreciate that. And then the only other thing for me is a reminder that some schools are already out for the season. Some schools go until Friday, but regardless, once we start getting nice weather, hopefully sooner rather than later, there will be lots of our youth out and about enjoying everything we have to offer. So just please be vigilant as you are driving through town, and that is all.
Okay, thank you for that. And for me, just definitely appreciate all the events that are happening. And this is summertime in Stony Plain. Usually the kickoff is the Farmers' Day parade and pancake breakfast. And from there on, everything is summer with summer sessions, Midsummer Thursdays, cultural campfires, and then the Canada car show and such that happens in our community. Definitely a good opportunity for our residents in our region to get together and to connect, as we've heard, and just to help each other kind of recommit to personal interactions instead of online interactions. I just wanted to highlight, just want to thank everybody that came out and sponsored and supported the 5th annual Tri-Region Mayors Golf Classic. So we were able to raise $22,500 for the Westview Health Foundation, and that's going directly towards their CT scanner project, which is a big task. They have to raise over $5 million within the next year and bit, so hopefully that helps and allows them to get a little bit closer to their goal. And then, so this is our 5th year, and over the last 5 years, this golf tournament has raised over $125,000 for community stakeholders in our town, Spruce Grove and Parkland County. The 6th year will be hosted by the town of Stony Plain, so we'll be taking the lead on that. So members of council, if you can get your thinking caps on to think of a user, a foundation or user group or somebody that may require the funds to help them accelerate what they're trying to do. So think about that over the next couple of months, and then when we set the date, hopefully we'll be able then to kind of earmark where those proceeds are going to. Okay. With that, that ends council discussion. So moving on to number 11, which is closed session. We have nothing scheduled tonight. So moving on to number 12, which is adjournment. So, yeah, thank you, administration, for putting the package together and bringing back kind of the policies and bylaws for us to review and to update. Members of council, thank you for your engagement and your continued engagement within our community to make sure that we have a full understanding of what's happening in our community so that we can make our best choices going forward. And with that, we are adjourned.